Hey everyone. We just hit a milestone, and the other day this channel turned 500 subscribers, and I cannot thank you enough. So to commemorate that, I thought I'd do a video that's a little different, and you'll see why in a few minutes. That kind of ties two of my hobbies together. I think of this as one hobby. The enjoyment of audio, be it from a radio, be it from a phonograph, it's similar enjoyment. It's the enjoyment of sound. So I've watched the PBS documentary several times, Empire of the Air. I'm currently reading the book that event was based on, and this is Empire of the Air, The Men Who Made Radio by Tom Lewis. Anyone into the hobby, I would say this is must read. It's not perfect. It can get very boring at times, but I'll give you a few takeaways, and I should probably preface this by explaining that one of my hobbies that doesn't really have much to do with radio or audio is genealogy. Over a year ago, I sent my DNA into Ancestry, and I'm a member. I also linked in an app on my phone which is called We're Related, and it identifies famous people that you're related to. One of my distant ancestors is Lee DeForest, the man credited with the invention of the vacuum tube, or as he called it, I think he called it the Audion tube. He was not a brilliant inventor. If you were to ask Lee DeForest how his Audion tube worked, he couldn't tell you. He was a terrible businessman, and literally dozens of his businesses came and went. Terrible, terrible businessman. I think he was in his, I want to say he was in his 70s, and he married a girl in her 20s. So he went through 4 or 5 marriages and divorces. And the guy was he was kind of a nut. So for me to say that I'm a descendant of Lee DeForest, I'm not saying that to brag at all. I'm kind of embarrassed, because out of the 3 men portrayed in this book, he probably was the least talented and the least skilled. And I'll tell you who I came away with realizing was the most talented and the most skilled, and that's General David Sarnoff. Now, you say what you want about David Sarnoff. That guy was a brilliant, brilliant businessman and a visionary. Of course, RCA came to be, in a large part, thanks to the general's skilled business acumen and getting patents on technology, having all the other radio companies license those patents in just a brilliant, brilliant way. Now, personally, one of the famous quotes from General Sarnoff is, "I don't get ulcers, I give ulcers." Something to that effect. I don't think he was an easy guy to work for. I don't think he was driven by money. I think he was driven by power. And certainly, in this era, he was probably the most powerful man on the planet, maybe more powerful than U.S. presidents. And then there is Armstrong, Edwin Armstrong. The guy he invented the super heterodyne circuit. He invented frequency modulation, or FM. I don't think he got very good guidance. I don't think he had very good advice when it came to licensing his technology, and I think General Sarnoff probably exploited Armstrong. They were friends at one time. They became bitter enemies. And of course, everyone knows Armstrong jumped out a window when he was on the brink of financial ruin, battling what he wanted to battle in the courts. General Sarnoff came right out and said that that suicide was not his fault. But in any event, these three guys tell this story. And there's other folks along the way, and we're going to talk about one of them. This video is going to be a little different. I'm going to show you a box of vintage tubes that I just received. We're going to open them. I'm going to show them to you. I'm going to tell you why I bought them and what's going on with my current project. Not an unboxing video. I've already unboxed these just to make sure there was no breakage. Apparently some of these vacuum tubes will develop a rattle, and what I've been told is that little pieces of ceramic can line the bases and you'll get a rattle. But all these tubes have been tested. I'm told they work fine. These are 01A globe balloon tubes from the 1920s, and the manufacturers are RCA, Champion, and Cunningham. Elmer Cunningham was also an interesting guy, and they talk a little bit about him in Empire of the Air. He basically manufactured bootleg tubes, more or less using some of RCA's technology. RCA, as they did, took all kinds of legal action, and if you can't beat them, join them. I'm oversimplifying this story, but Cunningham folded, and he basically took his company and merged into RCA. He became a manager for RCA, and interestingly enough, he was a manager for one of their manufacturing divisions, and Elmer Cunningham settled a labor dispute for RCA in the 1930s. So, again, if you can't beat them, join them. I did a lot of research on this device that I'm bringing back up to life. A lot of people recommend Cunningham tubes, I guess mainly because they were the recommended tube for this device. But there's a lot of different tubes that will work, and I'm going to show you 6 of them. We have a box of 6 tubes, and we're going to take a look at those. You know what? I think we're only going to look at one of these, mainly because unwrapping each one of these is a pain in the ass, and we're also getting a lot of glare from this tube. This is a Cunningham CX301A. And there's how it tested on a tube tester. Look at this gorgeous, stunning vacuum tube. It's a triode, 4 pins. It's got this Art Deco kind of look to it. And this is one of those pinnacles. I believe this is a pinnacle of manufacturing marvels. All the other tubes are going to look the same. I'm just going to unwrap this one just for a show and tell, but we need 5 of these. We have 6. I bought these in a lot of 6. Next, I'm going to show you what I am restoring, and I think this will be a little bit of a treat. So you saw it for the first time. That is my Atwater Kent Model 20C, the C for compact, from 1925. And hopefully restoration will be done within the next month or so. You just saw some of the cosmetic restoration before and after. The radio is working. And we just need to secure a horn loudspeaker, and a power supply, which I think I'm going to go with the famous RB3, RB being Antique Radio Battery Eliminator, version 3. And we'll have that Atwater Kent up and running. For those of you curious where I bought it at the Antique Flea Market in Brimfield, Massachusetts, Western Mass. They have a antique fair a couple of times a year, maybe 3 or 4 times, I don't know. But that was my first time there. I bought the box, the radio. I knew nothing about TRF radios. I knew it needed a set of vacuum tubes. I didn't know what we were going to be in for in terms of coils and transformers and just the windings that they used on these things. I mean, the wire itself, Atwater Kent actually used wire from their automotive business, and it was that thin. You might not know, Arthur Atwater Kent also invented the modern day electronic, what's the name I'm looking for? Not the alternator, but electronic ignition for the automobile. And his expertise in manufacturing wires, components, Bakelite, went towards packaging up breadboard kits and radio parts, and eventually they offered little consoles or little casket style radios like the one I just showed. But I don't know a heck of a lot about these things. I just know these radios are an awful lot of fun. I didn't pay much for the radio itself, and in a future video I'll go through what was wrong and what was corrected on that radio, but you have a little peek for now. I just wanted to thank I think we're up to 503 subscribers right now. I just wanted to thank everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and this has been a nice little treat. So take care for now. More videos to come later. Thank you.